So which pictures would you like to talk about?
Fannie Lou Hamer, and she's at the Democratic Convention in 1968 in Chicago. And this is the second time she has gone to the Democratic National Convention in order to challenge the regular Mississippi Democrats. And she is on behalf of the Mississippi, the loyal Democrats of Mississippi. And which is for, they wanted to have an integrated party, and the Democrats in Mississippi just are keeping the blacks out of the being active in the Democratic Party, registering to vote and all of that. So that's what this is.
Could you talk about a little bit about Fannie Lou Hamer, who she was?
She was a sharecropper who became involved with the civil rights movement with SNCC and with SCLC. And she was a very active civil rights worker, activist, who suffered a lot from the whites who were trying to prevent her from being active. And she was beaten, she was jailed, she was sterilized, and she suffered a lot, but she continued persevering despite all of the intimidation and violence, and continued to fight for what she believed in and to obtain her rights as a citizen, as an American citizen, for her and for other Black people and other people in general.
And she was also a great singer, wasn't she? So song, music was part of her.
Yes, she was a great singer. And she was well known for singing the freedom songs as a part of the civil rights struggle at any type of meetings that we had. Fannie Lou Hamer was also a co-founder of a Black farmers cooperative in Bolivar County. And so she not only wanted political freedom, but economic freedom and justice. And so the Liberty House was a marketing co-op, which was part of the overall makeup of an economic development organization that provided training, education, training, business information, and the marketing, the raw materials, and self-government for Black people in Mississippi who wanted to have their economic independence. After they had been disenfranchised, and after they had been thrown off of the land. A lot of them were sharecroppers, not everyone. And Liberty House co-ops started in 1965, and by the 70s, we had about 20 handcraft cooperatives, mostly women, but also some men. One component of the overall umbrella operation was the establishment of retail Liberty House stores that would sell handcrafts made by people in Mississippi, poor people in Mississippi, as well as people in other states. We expanded to people, marketing crafts for people in other states and in other countries. And the three persons that we have here, that's the Liberty House retail store on Farris Street in Jackson, Mississippi. The one which he has leather shoes. He was making leather goods. And he in particular was making leather shoes, sandals, leather sandals to sell. And the fellow on the left side was the driver of our van that would go to pick up the raw material, to deliver the raw materials for the handcrafts and pick up the finished goods throughout the state and bring it back to the warehouse, the marketing and storage warehouse for the products, which was in another location. And the other person, was one of the young men that was working in the warehouse.
Great. What can you talk a little bit about Farris Street and why you took photographs there?
That street was one where it was the primary business and social and political street for the Black community in Jackson, Mississippi. And it was like a parallel to the main street in downtown Jackson that white and Blacks went to. But these stores and businesses and houses were pretty much all Black run or owned. And during this time, it was segregation. So you had professional offices, you had churches, you had people living in houses on the side streets, you had law offices, you had the civil rights offices, you had restaurants, grocery stores, movie theater, segregated movie theater, bars and clubs, the YMCA.
Sounds amazing.
Southern Media had an office there for a period of time. And that's where all the Black community lived and died, so to speak. So the woman here with the hat on.
Well, she's just such an amazing force behind her.
Yeah, but I don't know what her name is. And I'd have to, I'm not even sure the date, but of course it was late 1960s or early 1970s.
Yeah.
And probably late 1960s. And she was organizing, they were having a meeting related to, I think it was related to Head Start programs for children. So the two of them, the lady there was sitting down, was taking notes, and that woman was organizing, getting people to do what they needed to do to make sure that they kept, that they were getting what they needed for getting people out to work and to vote and get supplies and do all of that.
Okay. And that was probably in Mississippi, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
I think that was in Hinds County.
Okay.
Hinds County, Mississippi. So that really wasn't in the deep rural area.
Yeah. What was Hinds County like? What was the reputation of Hinds County?
Well, Jackson, Mississippi is in Hinds County.
Okay.
So it's not the Delta rural area. It's Hinds County is, where Jackson, the city is. It's got urban and semi-rural, but
Mm.
it's mainly, you know, more urban, small town, big town, Hinds County. And then, of course, the one below that is the funeral procession for the murder of James Green.
So that's at Jackson State University, right?
Jackson State University, May 1970.
Then
That's the
down.
girls' dormitory.
Mm.
Girls' dormitory, which was bullet ridden by the police, Jackson police, and other law enforcement agencies, which I'd have to get that detail. And there are young men standing in front of the building with their hands upraised, protesting, showing solidarity and protesting what happened. So people are, this is after the funeral, and people are walking to the burial, the cemetery.
Which was quite a long way away, right?
Right.
So, and when you attended that event, you attended quite a lot of events after quite tragic happenings. And were you very aware that that was a sort of historical period, that it wasn't, that it had gone on and on, but now it was being documented? Did you have a sense of documenting something important?
Yeah, I was always documenting things before I came to Mississippi.
Yeah.
Documentation was one of the things that I was destined to do from an early age, which I knew that we did not have our history, our achievements in history books, and I knew that we had a lot of achievements and we had great history, and I was wanting to make sure that I recorded whatever I could, wherever I was, whatever I was doing, and whatever was historical and was happening around me. I collected documents and I took photographs and I made things happen, or I helped things happen so that it would be there. Now, this dormitory is where Philip Gibbs, the college student, was standing and was killed. James Green, whose funeral this was killed across the street in front of a different building.
So there were two murders on opposite sides of the street by police there at the same time, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So
the police had a tank, a Thompson tank, and the tank swung around from left to right or right to left and sprayed bullets on both sides. So in addition to two young men being killed, several people were injured from bullets, and many were injured from running and people falling down.
So
it was a surprise attack at midnight.
The reason for that attack was purely police desire for political gain, or what was the reason?
Yes, basically that's what it was.
Yeah. So same as now, in fact.
So this is Aura Bowie, nurse at Tops Delta Health Clinic, more recently named Jack Geiger Delta Medical Center, I think it is. Yeah, double check. And they are part of the only Black hospital in a Black town, in the Black town of Mount Bayou, the only Black hospital in the Delta. that might have been the only Black one in Mississippi. I wouldn't say for sure, but it's the only Black hospital in the Delta, Mississippi. And it provided a variety of medical services. And after 2 doctors from Tufts Medical School got a grant from Washington, they expanded the services and facilities for this hospital to include visiting nurses, nutrition information, adult education.
So it was an initiative that came out of civil rights, the Delta Tufts health clinic. It began because of civil rights. It wasn't there before.
Well, it was there. The hospital was there, the core and everything, but Tufts expanded the facilities. We can't say that it just did it. It expanded the facilities. It built on what was already there.
Okay, and how did you gather people into that facility? How did you went out to farms to say, come there? Or how did you get people to bring their preschool children to the clinic?
Well, I didn't do that, but
but the movement.
Yeah, well, different. Well, Black people knew that this was a hospital that they could come to if they could get there. But as the facilities were expanding, the more people, you had volunteers, you had more people hired that would go out. You had the people working, so the word spread. People know what's going on, and you had the word spread through people being able to see, and word of mouth. And when people need something and they ask, oh, I need this type of service, that type of service, or did you know something new? And the different organizations and church services, church people, word just spread. When you have something new that you need, the word will spread. People will talk about it.
And there's a lot of young people working there. The people working there are all youthful.
No, not all youthful. No. They're different ages. Of course, when you ask about how did the children, how did you be able to get the children? Well, remember, you had, during the civil rights movement from the early days, you had freedom schools established in 1964, some of 1964. So that's a communication network. You had the Head Start centers in 1965. You had some additional Head Start centers through the Mississippi Action for Progress in around 1967 or 68. And you had the Handcraft Cooperative Liberty House in 1965. So you have these different organizations that are starting to help people, help the Black community because of all of the injustice. So whenever there's something else, another service to help other people, to help Black people, and more are needing help because more and more are participating in civil rights and suffering more injustice and getting thrown off of their land. So the word passes that to know what is there to help them for food, for clothing, for shelter, for medical service.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
When some people got thrown off the land, another group started a tent city on somebody's land.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Did you photograph that? No.
No, I didn't.
No. So, well, I think the one of the teacher with the class, with the math class, which is the one that you've got in the Observer, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's math, or that's the math teacher.
Yeah.
It was at Tufts, Delta Health Clinic. as I say in here, obtaining an education was very important to the Black people in Mississippi because so many were forcibly prevented from having one for so many years.
Yeah.
Usually they had large families that were living on plantations and earning very little money. And the civil rights movement opened their dreams and horizons for getting a better education for their children and being able to improve themselves, not only educationally, but economically through their children and through themselves, as adults. Some people, had it as a lifelong goal to be able to read and write, or to be able to get some kind of, 6th grade education or a high school education, all of that.
There's a lot of energy in those pictures of people. Maybe the teachers are giving out a lot of energy or something, but the pictures have a lot of energy. Like if I'm looking through the negatives and I see those particular pictures of people teaching, every time I stop and look at them, and there's a lot of them and they're kind of incredible. These groups of people helping one another and people looking at things in very intent ways, they're very concentrated as pictures, which is, I find very interesting. So, yeah.
Well, the floodgates had been let open in some areas where the movement had brought some freedom. There's many places where it didn't happen, where the people are still, looking sad and downtrodden, because they were still looking to find some help, still looking to find some way to get out of their horrible poverty and despair. So that's when you see such faces looking sad and
well, there is a massive cross section in your pictures. Actually, that's one of the things about it that's quite hard to kind of find. If you're going to do a book, how do you, the misery in some places and then the uplifting side on the other side, and then the sort of violence of the events. It's a lot in one place, very concentrated. It's kind of it's a very powerful moment in history. I mean, I was wondering actually if people were making pictures now, what would they? Because I don't know if those kind of initiatives exist at the moment, but it's certainly.
Well, there are some initiatives going on.
Yeah.
There's always something going on, more or less. Rise and fall, new and old. You're always going to have it, and it's just matter of there's always a push and pull, so that when people try to do something, the forces that didn't want you to do it in the first place have taken steps to keep you from going any further, keep you from getting any more gains. So
well, they're certainly hard at it nowadays. Yeah, well, the pictures are incredible anyway. So
yeah, these are two little schoolgirls on Farris Street, and they're so cute, and they have they're probably sisters or girlfriends, good girlfriends. And as you see, the little one has a white doll. And one of the things that we knew was true is that very few Black children had Black dolls. And so Liberty House Handcraft Co-op, one of the earliest products that we did make, have the co-ops make, one of the co-ops make, was Black rag dolls. And the Black rag dolls were made as girls and as boys. They were very big sellers. And one time, many years later, around 1995, I was in Denver, Colorado, in a bookstore, and artifacts and bookstore. And I happened to pick up a book that had dolls, different doll collections. And I just opened it. The first page I opened it to was a picture of the Liberty House rag dolls in this book. This that was depicting different handcrafted, homemade, artistic dolls. So
That's-
I was very happy that we were able to provide that service for Black children and any other children, both male and female, because many of the customers in the retail stores in different parts of the country also wanted to have dolls, Black dolls, dolls of different backgrounds for their children.
Mm.
So whereas it was a big need for Black children to have Black dolls, it was also appreciative of other families, white families and other families having Black dolls also for their kids.
Mm.
And especially when you had white families fostering or adopting Black children,
Mm.
that was something important for
Mm.
their self-identity to have Black dolls,
Mm.
male
Mm.
and female.
Mm. No, it's
So that's
extraordinary, isn't it? How
these
important it is. Yeah.
kids are very happy, very having a lot of fun. They're excited about being going to school, and they're excited about having their dolls and having each other.
Mm. Yeah, it's nice. Good. That's great. Okay, good. We did it.